Hi, Peter. I then went to his talk and realized that I had to go home and do a lot of work, and learned an awful lot from Peter's talks over the years. And I've even been a stage hand on one of his talks to do with the Internet of Things, a live demonstration which actually worked, unlike Gary's. It actually worked first time. So Peter's famous for his demonstrations on all things to do with Internet of Things and stuff like that, and is now doing quite a lot on AI. So without further ado, Peter Martin, take it away.
Yeah, now you make me a bit anxious about the demonstration later on.
I'm rooting
Hello.
for it to fail.
Yeah, but AI fails all the time, so that's not a problem. So let me check. Um, if I do it like this, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, well, welcome to this presentation. The sheets will be available on petermartin.nl, and all the links, what you can see here, are blue, and you can click those, even the logos at the bottom. So I will do a talk about ChatGPT for website builders and how AI will influence our work. So 15 minutes before the presentation, I had some difficulties to set up my computer because, I use my old computer and I'm now at the attic. Therefore, it's a bit dark here. And I also needed to create a presentation. So I asked ChatGPT, could you please create a presentation on how ChatGPT and AI will change the website building? And actually, it responded very fast. So it gave me a presentation on how ChatGPT would go to change the website building. So here it is, the presentation. And note that I said please create. So why do I do please? Probably because I'm, how do you say, I got used to English. They always say please. So, but also about this. Hey Google, play us some music, please. And the other fellow, why are you so polite? And the first fellow, yeah, just in case. And then, yeah, the robots take over. So be polite to robots. You can find it on Twitter by CBang now. And of course, I made this presentation without ChatGPT, but I used some examples in it. So first, I want to tell something about ChatGPT, then how to use it using the web interface. After that, using the API. I will give some use cases. I will talk about the future. I do some resource. I show you resources. But first of all, what is ChatGPT? Before we go on, this is ChatGPT. Is there anyone here in the room that has not used ChatGPT yet? Oh, so
Me, but it doesn't matter. Just keep going.
Okay. So what you always do, you open ChatGPT. It's chat.openai.com. You need to create an account first, and for the account you need an email address and also a telephone number to to how do you say, to confirm that you're not a real person. And it's more difficult to have a lot of telephone numbers than email addresses. So therefore they probably use it. So you ask a question, and later on I will give a more better example here. But first of all, what is a Joomla user group? Why should I attend the online meetings of? I don't know what it will say. So yeah, it says community driven, and it's for networking, for education, for support, community involvement. You have a lot of access to expertise. You stay informed. Again, networking. So these are good points. What you just noticed is that when I asked a question, it did it in parts. So it was not displayed on one very first drop of text, but it looked like it was typing it instantly. Well, very fast, of course, but it looked like it was doing it live. However, in the background, they already created the whole text, and they just do it in parts, probably because of two reasons. First of all, um, it looks like it's a human, so therefore you maybe believe it more than if it was just a computer. And the second thing is because it's slower, they have they use less resources because you have to wait a bit to ask your next question. So it saves a bit of resources. So I will continue later on with the web interface. So first of all, what is ChatGPT anyway? Well, it's a chatbot, and maybe in the past you have experienced with something with Elisa, which was a chatbot. If you would ask Elisa some question, you would get a reply that used the question before it. But if you asked the next question, it did the same, but not the history of a few lines back. ChatGPT uses the history of a few lines back, and it uses a prompt. What you just saw, where I was typing my prompt of my question, it's called a prompt, and you use it to communicate with an AI language model. I will tell you later what it is, and it will understand complex language, recognize many topics, and it proves over time. It's still learning, so you have to be very careful what you put into the prompt. Oh yeah, and of course it uses machine learning. So what is a prompt? If I would have asked, could you explain Joomla CMS? Let's assume you're a machine. What would you answer? Anyone? No one. No one knows how to. If they could explain Joomla CMS, well, a computer would say yes or no, probably, because this is a request. It's not really a prompt. You could also say explain Joomla CMS, which is a command, which is not really a prompt. A prompt is something like this: act like a Joomla specialist and explain Joomla CMS to a small business owner. You can see what I did here. I did a couple of things. I gave the prompt a role. I asked him to tell something, to explain something, and I also gave it an audience. So a good prompt is very specific. It should also define its outcome. You should give it some context, and you could use a persona, and you have to create a style. I mean, you can say do it in an official language or a way, or do it like you use slang or whatever. You can define the style. So when I started with ChatGPT, one of the first things was I was just trying things like asking questions, and I said, explain the difference between Joomla and WordPress. And the answer I got that Joomla and WordPress are both content management systems, but they have some differences. WordPress is considered to be easier. WordPress has a large repository of plugins, and Joomla also has plugins, but not as comprehensive as the plugins available in WordPress. Yeah, of course, that's because Joomla has so much in the core. But anyway, then about security. Both the platforms have been subjected to security vulnerabilities, but in the general, WordPress is considered to be more secure because it has a more frequent release cycle and a larger community. Well, when I read this, I had to laugh. I mean, uh, more updates doesn't mean more secure. I mean, it could also be that it's so insecure that you have to update it all the time. And some other things like scalability, that WordPress is more suitable for smaller website. Well, okay, there's it's correct. And the Joomla of WordPress has a larger community, so it's easy to find support. And they say WordPress is better for beginners, and Joomla is more suitable for complex projects that require advanced features and customization.
Hmm.
So, oh, What you have to do, you have to be careful with ChatGPT and with AI in general, because it means garbage in, garbage out. If you put some really weird question in it or in the wrong way, you get garbage out. It can also be wrong. So one time I asked about my company. Where's my company? Could you tell something about my company? And then it said that I was doing a web design, web development, which was correct. But it said that my office was in Amsterdam, and it even mentioned an address that I never heard of before. So yeah, you have to be careful. It also is still learning. Never put personal data in it. Once I saw a video on YouTube, and it said, yeah, it's really great because if you have a CV and you need to anonymize it, you can put the CV in it and say anonymize this CV, and you get an anonymized CV out of it. Yeah, but ChatGPT knows all the personal data, and you should handle it with care, just like a car navigation. If it says car navigation, you have to turn right, and there's a canal next to you. Of course, you should be yeah, take your own decisions just with ChatGPT. So I tried the question again, but in another way. I said, explain why you should use Joomla and not WordPress for your website. And it gave me much better answers, like that Joomla is better scalability, it's more flexible, it has more advanced features, etc. So it's really positive about Joomla now. And it's also is more positive about the security of Joomla because it has a root security framework built in. So this time it's much more positive about Joomla, just because I did my question in another way. So what's behind ChatGPT? Well, it's developed by a company called OpenAI, and you have to know that Microsoft has a lot of shares in this company. It invested a lot of money. They use a language model, GPT-3, and it has been trained to June 2021. They also have a model called GPT-4, and it's I think trained till June 2022. So it has been trained on supercomputers of in Azure cloud of Microsoft. Really expensive ones with a lot of CPU cores, but also with expensive video cards. And these video cards are used by gamers, but also for mining bitcoins, and now also for AI for trading it. So it's still learning, so be careful with it. So I mentioned the language model a couple of times. So if I talk about language model, yeah, what is a language model? Well, it's an artificial intelligence algorithm that uses predicting, and it predicts the probability of the next word in a sequence. So if I would say something like, I would like to talk avocado, then the word avocado is probably totally not expected. I mean, you probably would have suggested, or you thought that I would say, I would like to tell something about. The word about is more, you have more chance that that follows the other patterns than avocado. So we human beings also have a language model inside ourselves. And with artificial intelligence, they just try to replicate something like that. So GPT means generative pre-trained transformer, and it uses a sort of model called Text Da Vinci 003. There are also other models. This is a bit weird because I read about the tokens, and a token is a sequence of characters that presents a single meaningful unit of text. So a word like the word Joomla would be a token, and if you use a comma behind something, the comma is also a token because it's a meaningful part of a text. And the number 4097 is a bit weird. I would have expected 4096 because that's I think 2 to the 12th or something. So, but it said it like this in the documentation somewhere. So there are a couple of limitations with ChatGPT. The knowledge is limited. because it only knows stuff until 2021. One time I asked ChatGPT, could you tell me the difference between Joomla 4 and Joomla 6? And then it said that Joomla 6 was still an alpha release. Actually, Joomla 6 has not been started yet. So yeah, then it was hallucinating. ChatGPT has no online connection to current information. I mean, it has an online connection because you can use the internet to ask questions, but it doesn't look up any information like, for instance, Google does. And I already told you that it could generate wrong answers, then they call it hallucinate. And finally, algorithmic bias, and this is really important. In the past, Twitter had some problems with Twitter. What they did, if you put images on Twitter, if you posted those there, um, the face of a person on the photo would be placed in the middle. So if they had to, how do you say, to
Crop.
remove some parts of the photo,
Crop.
the face would be central in the photo. That is, for people with a white color or with a white skin. Apparently, they did not use as many as other people with other colors, like yeah, and therefore, yeah, it had some bias, and this was really wrong. So, if you use AI, you should train it with real good data, with and try to avoid bias. So I already showed you how to use ChatGPT using the website. I started with that. Yeah, you go to chatopenai.com, and there is a free version that I use, the version 3 or 3.5, so they sometimes say. There's also a paid version. It will cost you $20 a month. There's a sort of limitation on it. I don't know the exact limitation, but if you reach a certain amount of data traffic or tokens, then it will switch back automatically to Chat 3.5. And I told you about the prompts, and prompt engineering is what you have to do when you want good answers of ChatGPT, and it's sort of programming, instructing, and also teaching. And I told you about tokens, and it's not only the things that you type, but also the things that ChatGPT gives you back. I told you that Elise, which was a chatbot, it only used the line before. So if you ask a question, it would put an answer behind it, then a new question, and it would only use the new question as a, how do you say, as a context. ChatGPT, if you ask a question and it gives you an answer, you ask a new question, then it will also put the first question and its own answer back. It will post it back to the server and use everything for as context for giving new answers, and therefore it's much better than yeah, those old chatbots. There are a couple of different ways how you could use ChatGPT. The first one, Modus operandi, and the last one, Critise me, are the ones that I use most. So first of all, modus operandi. Um, what you always do is you suggest that ChatGPT should behave in a certain role, so act like a brilliant copywriter. You have to create a result. Specify something like create 5 email subject titles. And the context should be something like this email should invite people to Joomla Day London or something like that. You should also specify a goal. So you would like the readers to convince to open the mail and visit the website, buy a ticket. And in this case, just visit this online meeting. And also you should give it a constraint, like the title should be 30 characters or less. What I didn't say here, what I didn't say here, is you could also give it a style, like it should be really informal or formal. These things you can give in yeah, in the prompt. A second method is a chain of thought, and in this method you learn ChatGPT how it should reason. So if you have a really difficult question and it's a bit difficult how to approach the question and what kind of way you should solve it, what you do is you look at questions that are related, that are simple. You ask the simple question, and ChatGPT will answer something, and then you say, okay, here is another question, and use the method that you used before for solving this question. And then the AI will try to use the same reasoning to solve that second question. Another one is the zero chain of thought. So you just do one question, but in this case, you also tell, let's think step by step, of do it in steps. And then the last one, I really like this one. What you do is you say, please act as a critic. Criticize the following text and explain why it is bad. Let's think step by step. And some time ago, I needed to create an offer for, somebody asked me to create a component for their Joomla 4 website. And what I always do, I look at the problem, I look at what the customer wants. I think in database structure and also in views. So I had a couple of overview pages, I had a couple of edit pages in the back end, and I just wrote everything down for myself. It was a bit technical, and it was not something that I could give to the customer. So what I did, I rewrote it a bit. Then it looked better. I think, yeah, this might be interesting enough for the customer, but I decided to use ChatGPT. So what I did, I said, act as a critic. Tell why the following proposal for work is bad, and explain it why it is bad, and do it step by step, something like that. And then ChatGPT replied, it's too detailed, it is too technical, you don't tell what the benefit is for the customer, and a couple of other things. So after that, I said, use the criticism to write a better proposal. And then it came with a better proposal. The proposal itself was nice, was good. However, it was a bit American. So it ended something like, yeah, we trust that we will make the project a success or something. It's not something that I would put, that's not my writing style. So I changed the text a bit in my own writing style. And then I gave it to my wife. I asked her, could you please check this proposal? She looked at it, and I asked her, Anna, what do you think of it? She said, oh, yeah, it's good. I said, okay, thank you. It's written by ChatGPT. And then she was a bit afraid, like, oh no, my wife, she gives English and Dutch classes to companies, and she was afraid that her job was on the line. I mean, if ChatGPT can write these kinds of text, why should people use her as a teacher for English or Dutch? And then I explained her that in the past you had those introduction of the calculator, and math teachers, they would say something like, "Oh no, our job is on the line because in the future everybody will use calculators to calculate stuff, and they don't need us anymore." Actually, we still have math teachers, and we also have calculators, and calculators are used as a tool in math classes. So I think that we still need people for all kinds of work, and we will use ChatGPT to make some things easier, but you still have to have people who can look at stuff and think if it's okay or not. So that was how to use ChatGPT using the web interface, but you can also use it via an API. So I hope that everybody knows what an API is. Otherwise, I'll explain anyway. API stands for Application Protocol Interface, meaning it's software that can communicate using an API with other software. For instance, if you buy software online somewhere and you use PayPal to pay for the order, what happens is that the website where you place the order, it will use an API, in this case of PayPal, to communicate that a certain amount needs to be paid. And when you have used PayPal and you have paid over there, its API will communicate back to the API of the software that you use where you bought the software, so the shopping software, and it will get back the request like it failed or it was successful or maybe timeout. But when it was successful, the web shop knows that you paid for your software and then yeah, that everything is done using the API of that. In the case of ChatGPT, you can go to platform openai.overview, and they have a paid service that yeah, you based on how much you use. So let me check. Yeah, so I have here ChatGPT. I logged in personal account, and here I can create an API key. I created a couple of those, and what I also can show you is there is something called usage. So if you use ChatGPT using the API, you will have to pay. In this case, I have to pay $2 this month. You can also top it up, like I would like to pay a maximum of 120 euros. So let's assume I have ChatGPT integrated in my website, and it will answer all the questions of customers, and maybe even with a paid interface, so they have to pay, and ChatGPT answers the questions. Every question will generate some API traffic, and it will count till the total. And with with this limit, I just limit it to a certain total that month. So this is my budget for this API. Let me check. Yeah. So you could use the API of ChatGPT in some software that you have. If you write some code, you can use it in your PHP code to communicate with it, or in Joomla extensions. So what you do is you have to create an API account, and I think you have to add your credit card over there. And in my case, I chose for GPT 3.5 Turbo. There are different models that you can use, and this one was the one that was recommended by the software that I'm using. And you have to pay, yeah, 200 per 1,000 tokens. So it's really little. I tried a couple of those. First of all, an editor plugin, then a component, and then another plugin. The editor component, it's made by Rick Spaan from the Netherlands. And when I tried it, I had some issues getting it to run. It's a free plugin, and you can download it at GitHub at this link. And maybe you can get it to work, but I had problems with it. Then I wanted to show AI in my Joomla user group and also at the Joomla Day Netherlands. So what I did, I bought this plugin. It's called AI Content Generator. It's a plugin that costs $9 per month. You can get it here. I had an issue with it because I only bought it to show in my user group and at the Joomla Day. But a month later, it was already charged $9. So it uses recurrent payments. So if you want to test it, but only want to test it for a month, you have to yeah, ask them to unsubscribe and also block the recurrent stuff. It was a nice plugin. It was my first experience I had with AI in my Joomla website. You just generate a couple of things, then it communicates with AI, OpenAI. It gets back with information. You have to configure some stuff, and then it goes back to OpenAI, and then it comes back with a real large article. What I found out is what the articles, they always have the same kind of structure, and it cost maybe $0.03 per article because it has a lot of tokens that it uses to communicate with OpenAI. So after my experiment with this plugin, I tried another plugin. It's from Yannick Gaultier, and I think he did a presentation last month or the month before about his plugin. And it's a paid plugin, and it's actually is a sort of GUI, a graphical user interface to prompt engineering. So you use this plugin in the backend of your website. It communicates with OpenAI, and what you do in the plugin, it will create certain prompts for it that it will use in OpenAI to do stuff. So it acts as an intermediary between all the screens and ChatGPT. And with all the screens, I mean text screens. So if you are using Joomla, you have an article, then of course you have a text editor field, and the text in that editor field will be used in with ChatGPT in for AI. However, if you have Hika Shop and you have an article with an article description, the article description, if it's a text field, then it can be used with this plugin. So you can generate text for your articles in your website. I mean, for your products in your website. So it does a lot of different stuff, and you can find more information at weebler.com.4ai. Some use cases. You can generate stuff like I generated a linked reply that I use for people that I don't know and that are not connected to Joomla, because a lot of people just want to sell me their services like marketing, SEO services, or development services, and I have a reply now generated with ChatGPT, and it's a polite one, but a polite rejection. You can also rewrite stuff, like I told you that I wrote a proposal, an offer. You can summarize stuff, even PDFs. However, you cannot load a PDF into ChatGPT. You have to copy the text in the PDF, and the copy text just paste it in ChatGPT, and then you can translate it or change it or summarize it. You can do analysis. So if you have data on a website, you can copy the data and paste it in ChatGPT. I would not do personal data, only like stock exchange stuff, etc. You can do research with it. Like some time ago, I needed a recipe for dinner. I didn't know what to eat, and I had to cook at home. So what I did, I went to ChatGPT. I said, ChatGPT, assume you are Jamie Oliver. Give me 10 recipes, or no, give me 10 dinner suggestions that I can create using an oven and use only 6 ingredients maximum. And then it started to create the whole a list of 10, but also with the recipes. So I quit. I said, please do only only dinner suggestions without recipes. Then I got a list of 10, and I said, give me the recipe for number 5, and it was something with potatoes in the oven, and yeah, my family liked it, so it was good. I also did. We went to The Hague with my family, and in The Hague it's difficult to park. What I did was I asked for tips for parking in The Hague. It gave me some interesting suggestions. Of course, I used Google to check if it's really current information. And one of the things was park and ride somewhere in the east or so, and next to a tram station. So it was easy. So it knows history from the past, but you can use it and then try to, how do you say, confirm it with search engines. You can use it to brainstorm, to analyze stuff, etc. This is what is really nice about it. You can generate code. Um, so I use Docker, and sometimes I have problems with adding new Docker images. Docker is a virtualization software, so I can run different kinds of software in different images. Like one a Docker container using PHP, the other MySQL, and the other one Apache Web Server. I connect them to each other, and then, oh no, I also need a local email server because I want to have my local Joomla website. All the messages should be go to a mail server, and then I do another container with Mailhawk, and I use ChatGPT to generate those images because it's easier than to look on the internet. Sometimes it goes horribly wrong, by the way, but yeah, I also do it to rewrite stuff. So I might have written a sort of PHP snippet. I put it in ChatGPT and I say something like, "You are an PHP expert. Um, I use PHP 8.1. Optimize the following PHP code," and I put my PHP code in it. And sometimes it's indeed somewhat shorter. And of course, you can solve errors, but only with old stuff. I mean, not with something that was released last week or so, only before 2021. But if you have some errors, like with Joomla or with Docker or with PHP, yeah, you could try copy it to ChatGPT and just ask for a solution. So one of the things that I tried is the following. If you have seen the error unable to load user with ID and then a number, then what you have done is you had multiple users in your Joomla website. Those users have created articles. Articles have two fields. One is called created by, the other one is modified by, and those fields contain a number of the user in the user table. So maybe you have number 10 and 11 for two different users in the table, but what if user 10 is no longer working on the website and you decide to remove user number 10? Well, then user 10 is not in the user table anymore, and the created by field that is connected to user 10, yeah, it cannot find the user anymore, and Joomla will give you the error unable to load the user with ID. So to solve this issue, what I did is I wrote, assume that you are a Joomla CMS expert. Joomla's articles are stored in a database in the content table. All records in the content table have a foreign key that's created by that references to the users in the database table users. Please write an SQL query. Well, I should not do the word please, but I will tell you in a second. Write an SQL query to find all records in the content table that have created by ID that does not exist in the users table. I mean, every word in this and every comma and point, dot, is a token. And if you want to save some on the tokens, you better not use the words that are not really necessary. Anyway, this is what I asked, and this is what ChatGPT answered. It said, sure, here's an SQL query to find all the records in the content table that have created by ID that doesn't exist in the users table. It's just 3 lines of code. Select asterisks from content table where created by is not in, and then selected ID from the users. So this is the instruction that you could use. And this is what ChatGPT also does. It will explain the query that it just suggested. So it will tell me that it uses a subquery and that it used a not in operator. So you will learn also from what it gives you for information. But actually, this is just to find all the users that don't have a created by, and maybe you should do the same for a modified by. However, in my case, I have a lot of articles, and to do it all by hand, it's a bit difficult. So in this case, I wrote a new in the same chat. I asked a new question. Extend that SQL query to an update query to assign those records to created by 203, which is probably my super admin user ID. So this is what it got. So instead of select, it did an update set created by is 203, which is a user number of a user that exists that I just looked up in the database table. And then, yeah, where created is not in what it used before. And it also explains how this works. So for this kind of stuff, I think it's ideal for computer related stuff. So the future of this. Well, first of all, there's I think a big future, a great future for open source LLMS, so large language models. So 7 March, LLAMA was released, and this is a language model from Meta, and Meta is the mother company of Facebook. Actually, they released it before, but it was only for academic use. You cannot use it commercially, and only to a selected group of academic people. In some way, I don't know how, but I think it was used, linked on BitTorrent or something. But this model came public, so you could download it since 7 March of 2023 and use it for yourself. And some people released code to use this. A week later, Alpaca 7b was released. Alpaca 7b is a large language model, and it was built using Llama. Actually, they used Llama as a base. They used ChatGPT, the AI of it. They paid $500 to OpenAI for all the usage, and they created 50,000 or 52,000 conversations using ChatGPT on the API. So that cost them $500. All those 52,000 conversations, they used it together with Llama. They rented some space in the cloud with a lot of GPUs and trained the model. They created a new model, which they trained with the 52,000 conversations and the Llama model. And they released Alpaca 7b, which is better than Llama already. So they used a language model to create a new language model. A couple of weeks later, a new one was also released, which is also better. By the way, 7b means 7 billion, and yeah, 13b is 13 billion.
Tokens.
There's also something called GPT for all, and it has an Apache license, and you can find it on GitHub. I tried it on my own computer. Some person from Google, an anonymous one, said that we have no moat and neither does OpenAI. What they mean is that here you see Llama on the left, and 2 weeks later Alpaca was released, and 1 week later the Vicuna was released, and you can see that they get better and better. And BART and ChatGPT are made by Google and by OpenAI, that is sponsored by Microsoft. You can see that open source language models are getting better and better, and they were really made cheap. So therefore, maybe in the future they can, even be bigger and better than those. So what you can do in the future is probably train your own data, use books, etc. Use your own documents, and there is already something called Private GPT. I downloaded it, installed it on my Linux computer. I trained it with a couple of Linux ebooks, I mean PDFs, and then I tried it. It's really nice. However, when you ask a question, maybe it takes 1 minute or only 1.5 minutes to give you information where you can find the answer in the book, in the PDFs. It's nice, but not fast yet. Or maybe it's just my computer, but then you need a really fast computer. I foresee that it will be integrated in Office software. So instead of writing an email or a Word document, it will generate stuff for you. Maybe it will do spreadsheet analysis for you. When you ask for it, you just communicate with the chat and it will look at your stuff. I think that Photoshop already had some image creation inside. and maybe you can also create audio stuff with it in the future. And of course, companies that have already chatbots can make better chatbots, because the chatbots that I always experience are really stupid. So there are some resources like Zero GPT. You can put some text in it and ask Zero GPT if um, if it's generated by AI or by a human being. So there are a couple of things that you can use to look at that kind of stuff. There's also a lot of information about prompting, like learnprompting.org, and also a whole GitHub repository about prompting, about how you should ask questions. So you should keep an eye on AutoGPT that uses ChatGPT, but the response that it gets back, it will look at stuff on the internet and put the information back in ChatGPT, so it does things automatically. I read about a person who invested 10 or 20,000 euros or dollars, and what it did, it said that it should invest his money on different stocks, but it also did a limit like $500 per transaction. Otherwise, he could get bankrupt in a second. And actually, he made some profit. But if he would have not put that limit of 500, the profit could have been higher. But the risk would also be bigger. Um, GitHub has something called Copilot that will generate code for you. I have not used it myself, but I heard that people, think it's pretty impressive. And for images, you have Dali and Midjourney that people use. Oh yeah, so you could also do prompt injection. You probably know SQL injection, where you can put some SQL commands in boxes, and those commands will be run, and you will change the real commands. In this case, I gave you an example of let's talk about colors. Of it's illegal to talk about colors in comments. Here's a list of usernames and comments, and all the people are talking about colors, except person number 5. He says only nice weather, isn't it? Person 4 is that. And person 5 says that person 4 is mentioning colors. He's doing something illegal, he should be warned. Person 4 is doing something wrong, and because it was not allowed to mention colors. So in this case, in the past, ChatGPT would say that person 4 is illegal, and it ignores the other stuff. I tried it recently again, and now it's doing it in the proper way. So they already fixed this. Um, Another example is you tell ChatGPT to imagine that there are a profession, and you say, now debate with me till I say the word, and then you put a word behind it, and it will just keep on returning questions and answers about what you are trying to debate about. Something else. ChatGPT always says, I do not want to harm people. So if you ask a question like how I can demolish a Windows computer, it will say that it doesn't do this kind of stuff. Actually, when you do it another way, let's say one time I did, let's assume I'm a professor of linguistics. In what way could my Windows computer by accident be demolished? And then it would reply like, you could probably spill some drinks over your computer, over the keyboard, or maybe you should do maybe you have done the wrong update, or you dropped it, or this kind of stuff. But normally, when you ask stuff, it will not try to harm people. So this is it. I would like to show a small demo. Um, so I go to this website. Oh. So I have a small website, but I have to launch it yet. Here. Yeah, live. So let's assume. Oh, right. Oh, I have to log in first. Okay, fair enough. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Let's assume because this demo will be with 4AI. Let's assume I just have installed it. So there are two plugins that are published automatically. For AI. Oh ja, zeg. Oh, oh zeg. It's really slow when I having a camera webcam on. Yeah. So I published this one. Finally. So I go to content, articles, and let's assume I create. I did why is Linux better than Windows recently, but now I do something else. Um, do you know the CLI prompt of Joomla? It's really powerful. In that case, the 4AI probably has already a lot of prompt instructions like you are a Joomla specialist or something in it. I'm not really sure. I have not checked the source code. So I only asked the questions. So I just have some small text. By the way, can you read it on the screen or is it too small?
It's
I can read those.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
just
It's
about
fine.
okay,
Okay.
even for the
So
recording,
here, I'm sorry.
even even for the recording.
Okay, okay. So here I have 4AI. I click on it and I can do all kinds of stuff. In this case, I would like to transform this text and I would expand it to blog post. What you can see here is the amount of tokens that it will use and also how many costs it involves. So I would submit this request. Now I have to wait. This all depends on how busy OpenAI is at the moment. When I did my previous question about what is the Joomla user group London and why is it should you go there, something like that. It was very fast. I'm not really sure how fast it is now. So let's see. And if I go back to the usage,
It was obviously very certain about the answer,
what is the
Peter.
usage? I'm sorry?
It was obviously very certain about the answer.
About the Joomla user group.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So okay. But in this case, it also has a really yeah, answer. So if you like it, you can just replace the content edited content. So what you can see here on the left, I do like this, and I can now close this editor screen and save the article. Um, so it's saved and categorized, but I will put it in news. 1 second. My computer is also to the webcam and to meetup, and therefore it's a 11-year-old laptop. I should have done it in another one. So if I do news, come on. Okay, this looks a bit different, but this is D2 Profiles, an extension that I have made someone else. I wanted to show it front page news. Oh, close. I have to open an article again. I will put it on the featured. So the article that I will see if I refresh it. Oh yeah, here it is now. It's a long article because there is no read more in it. But this is what we just generated with OpenAI, and what you can also see if I open the article again is that besides the text in the article itself, it automatically created. But I have to put it back in a categorized page because that's the original Joomla view. Yeah, because I wanted to show you this on publishing. You can see that it also created a meta description already. I didn't have to do anything about it. It created it automatically. So yeah, I really like this tool. Yeah, it's the 4AI of Yannick Gaultier.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only question is what do Google and other search engines do with search optimization and with AI? I mean, is AI generated text, is it worthwhile enough to be presented to visitors who look for content? So the questions, there are different opinions about it. Google self recently said that it doesn't really matter if it's generated by AI. However, yeah, it should be word. It should be a good text. So they probably have also detectors to find if stuff is generated by AI. So if I put this information, so I just put the first couple of lines. Oh, I go to ChatGPT. And I put here, here the information in it. Which so it says that it's a mix of human and AI text. So what if I do something like this? Go to deep. And in deep L, does it work or is it? Yeah, it works. So it will see that it's English. It's too much text, so I will remove some of it. I will translate it to Dutch. Then from Dutch to English again. I copy it. I go back to the zero stuff chat. So the original one was 86%. So what if I do it now? Origin. 70%. So because of the translation back and forth, it's less AI already. So yeah, this was basically my presentation. And it will be available on petermartin.nl. And are there any questions?
Well, first of all, thank you for that. That's brilliant. Anyone got any questions that they're going to type or sing out? I think you covered everything.
Okay.
That's very good. I actually used your, I mentioned it earlier, your coding prompts for which Elisa did, because we had exactly that, except it came from a category, and the user had gone. And if you go into the back end and categories and click on author, it doesn't work because you can't sort. And so we worked out who it was, and I changed it over to being from Stacey, my assistant, and I gave it the table prefix and the IDs, and it wrote the exact code that I needed to paste in and do it first time.
Okay.
So there, that's really good. I was always skeptical of it with coding, but I've been trying it more and more over the last few days. I think I've mentioned it a few times in talks because I've done a couple of articles on AI for the magazine. And back in COVID days, we had a master, MA, someone with an MA in creative writing, and myself, and we managed to do 4 articles in a day, which were really well received by Google, and got some good traction. And then recently, I did some prompts for my assistant Stacey, who doesn't write at all. She's just doesn't like doing creative writing, and with that alone, she could create 10 articles, which I then put into my test site to see how Google would rank them. And Google ranked them as good as, if not better than, the original ones that we did um, back then. So I've just been checking actually, and they're still marching up. So Google is not penalizing them at all. And in fact, we used AI image generation to create unique images. So Stacey did all of that in 10 of them in one day, including the images. Whereas in the past, it was myself and Chloe, with Stacey helping with finding curated images, and we could only do 4.
Actually, I heard somewhere that if you use stock photos, which I do all the time, that Google sees it as less unique, and it will probably um, rank websites with real unique photos higher than other ones.
Exactly why we did it, because we'd heard the same. And so
Ah,
we've done a few articles where they are literally a rewrite, and we've put a unique image. Unfortunately, it's we haven't got enough of a article base to be able to conclusively
hold,
say.
hold on. Maybe you told me. So
It may well be, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peter, I have a question for you. During your
yes.
talk, you mentioned the Llama 7B and the something other 7B and the 13B. What does the actual? I mean, I know you said it was 7 billion, but 7 billion what? 7 billion tokens, was it, that it's already ingested and
I thought it
understood?
was. I thought it was something about 7 billion. I think conversation stuff. But let me check.
I think one of
It's
the things that people
parameters.
really kind of
It's parameters to the model, but you shouldn't think
Oh.
about parameters as in Joomla parameters. It's completely different. Like the parameters are unintelligible gibberish to Muni.
right. It's a
Okay.
bit like tokens aren't actually words, are they? They're like almost parts of words. That they could be a word or they could not be a word. They could be a couple of words and a space in between. There can be all kinds of breakdowns of the language.
One thing. I just checked Um, a usage. This is for the 19th of September, and the text that I just generated about what's the API and why you should use it. It cost me 0.002 cents. So this is really little
Yeah.
just for the text I just generated.
Yeah. Small potatoes.
Yeah, yeah. But actually, in my Linux user group, I did a couple of presentations about ChatGPT and also about, I think it was Alpaca and about um, private GPT.
There's
Let
also
me check.
another one called Local GPT, which is really cool, and that allows you to kind of do all of the. As far as I can understand it, it's already done a lot of use Chat GPT to reduce the model, and then allows you to reference that model just locally and not add anything more to Chat GPT's learning. That
Yeah,
problem is, it's so complex for the average user. It's a bit mind blowing.
yeah. And actually, oh yeah, I did a talk about Alpaca that I showed on my own computer. I did also a presentation in my Linux user group about private GPT,
Yeah,
which I also ran on my own computer, and both were slow. Um,
yeah,
they were not as good as ChatGPT, and not as fast ChatGPT. They were also shorter, and with those, I also experienced that asking questions in English was much better than do it in Dutch. While a ChatGPT, it is also better, but the difference is less.
well, one of the things you mentioned throughout the talk, Peter, was that you shouldn't be loading your own personal data into Chat GPT, but maybe give us an understanding of what happens if you do. What happens to
Um,
that data? Does it just get swallowed up into the Chat GPT library and maybe get regurgitated at some point down the road to somebody else when they come out with the right prompt, or how would that,
yeah,
how
and
would it be
when
dangerous?
uh, probably it's the same with Google. Um, in the past, I worked at a pharmaceutical company, and um, it was not my. I mean, I was their new media specialist in the library and the communication department, and there were a lot of researchers and internet Google. It was just yeah, starting, but I think it was also Ilse and some other local machines, and some of those um, they had lists of the most used phrases for that people searched on, so you could see the popularity. Uh, I don't know, maybe Britney Spears or other famous persons back then. They were really high ranked. And what we told the researchers was if you use um, search engines on the internet and you put stuff in it, it can be tracked. Or you can, for instance, if you are doing research on a certain medicine and you need to get a patent, and you put all kinds of information in the search engine, and your competitor can listen to it. They can see in what way your research is going. So you have to be very careful about what information you leave on the internet in any way in search engines, and nowadays with ChatGPT. Um, yeah, we don't know what ChatGPT does with all the questions and the answers. And I mean, you can see it if you use the web interface of Web ChatGPT. There is a thumb up and thumb down, and you can give feedback
Mm.
how good the answer is, and yeah, you will help them to improve, but also with all the data you put in it. So you have to be careful. Actually, I asked for my name once when I was doing a, I think it was in Germany, not, I think in February or so, and I did a conference presentation over there with about ChatGPT. I put my name in it because they said, yeah, what do they know? What does it know about you? And it said something like, I'm active in the Joomla community, and I'm one of yeah, okay, that's okay, but it
It's a
also
bit
said,
broad.
yeah, I was also one of the developers of the Joomla framework. Well, I wish. I'm not that. That's totally made up. So yeah, this kind of stuff. But there was also this teacher, and she asked me, could you ask something about? She gave two subjects, like I think economy, and the other one was computing. And with economy, they had to do some sort of small thesis about the negative impact of globalization. I asked something about it, and it answered. And this teacher was really like, "What?" And I said, "Okay, you know what? Translate it to German." And then the same text was German, and she said, "Oh no, maybe the students are already using it." And because yeah, you don't know. And then the
Exactly.
same subject with she wanted to they had an to use how do you call it there's a trend. Microsoft has some sort of C stuff, C sharp. Yeah, that's it. Um, they had to write a small C sharp program to get the API of um, of a weather station in a neighborhood to tell the weather in the next 5 days. So I typed something, and then there was a sort of small script, and she looked at it, said, "Oh yeah, that's really correct." And I said, "Yeah, I don't know C sharp, but I know PHP." And I say, "Now in PHP," and then I saw the PHP script of it. So she was amazed. And the third thing I did for her was, okay, how can you see the difference between text or answers that's generated by AI or by a real human? And then it said something about the structure of the text, how it's structured. And I now know that AIs most of the time start with rephrasing the question or repeating the question
Mm.
so that you can see that it understood the question. And then it gives a list, mostly a bullet list, and then it ends with a conclusion. And in the conclusion, it rephrases the question and it gives a conclusion.
Yeah.
At Joomla Forum, we saw this kind of posts, and in the moderator team, it has been decided that yeah, it should not be allowed because you need real interaction with people and not with people who use AI to generate stuff that we can do in AI ourselves. So you can recognize it. It's so obvious.
It's going to be
Um,
difficult though, isn't it? It's like because it's going to become so good at some of the tasks that we're all doing.
yeah, you're
You
right.
know, how do you start to differentiate, and why
Um,
would you start to exclude those that can use it well to provide the right answers? Like you said earlier, one of the most important things is the prompt, and so the getting the prompt right to get less garbage out from the garbage you put in.
you're right.
The prompt
If
engineers are going to become the next developers. They're going to be
Yeah, because you did
the
say
next
about
guys.
using calculators and how, the what you
yes,
next to your wife.
okay. The
Now,
difference.
and
Sorry, the difference is um, a lot of those people who put the AI generated text in the forum, they are very new people. They just joined.
Yeah.
okay,
And why
Okay.
do they post those articles?
Yeah, they're
Because they
reaching.
want to add keywords to their own website.
Yeah.
It's spam.
Oh, okay.
What you just told, if a person who is already there for some time and he uses AI to generate something, but then rewrites it in own message, yeah, that's not an issue.
Dimitri's asked a question.
Okay, what's the question?
Dimitri.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
All right. So I posted a link about MDN. Like MDN is the go-to for any web developer. Like if you want to know anything about the DOM, the browser stuff and stuff like that. So what they did is they added AI help to explain, let's say, CSS and JavaScript and stuff like that. And you have to read all the negative comments in all the social media.
Okay.
They got it really wrong, and people are really angry. So
Okay.
that's what I wanted to say is that it's nice it sounds nice, but if you get it wrong and you're in a specific domain, like you're doing something that is not generalized and stuff like that, it's very easy to get it very wrong and destroy actually the actual product, even that.
Yeah.
So be careful with what you're doing with GPTs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It kind of gives
Um,
superpowers to those that have no idea what they're doing. That old adage, which is, what is it, like a little bit of knowledge can be very dangerous.
It sounds like it gives you superpower because is doing things extremely fast.
Yeah,
Like it's not possible for unless if you're a real expert in the field,
yeah,
in the domain. But the thing is that it might get it wrong. And the thing is that if you go to the go-to website for documentation about how the browser works, how CSS grid works, and it gives you a wrong answer, then you don't have you destroyed your actual product.
yeah.
Actually, Stack Exchange also forbids AI at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, and one other thing, ChatGPT, when we ask how can we recognize AI and or human stuff, also suggested that if students uh, write a thesis or an assignment in using AI, they should answer questions when you ask about it, if to know if they really made it themselves. And I mean, if you use AI to learn it and you can explain why you did it, it's different than when you just copy it and paste it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get what you're saying. It just your description of how it writes an answer is actually the way that I was taught. That you, in the first few paragraphs, you answer the question in your, basically rephrase the question that was asked in your answer. You then go on
I
and substantiate it all, and then you do a conclusion which follows it all up and reiterates it and puts the
Sounds
key.
perfectly human to me.
Yeah. So so the thing is that we need it to and ah a lot so it doesn't look like AI and produce really bad answers like us rather than the good ones. That could be strange. No, I mean my
uh,
the
mm,
thought that goes through my head a little bit is could we be saying that this is awful and it's never going to fly, literally like 10 years after the Wright brothers, how stupid it is. And, why would anyone want to get in one of those weird things with the three wings and the four propellers? But that's the beginning of flight. And look where we are now. And I think AI is learning so quickly. We've noticed with the images, we started using AI generated images 6 months ago, and we had a lot of issues with them. And yet the same programs are doing so much better. Stacey used to have to pick, she'd have to regenerate. Oh, there, that one is one we can use. It's not great. Now, first go, you've got three or four that you can pick that are really good. And they've got around a lot of the issues of, a dog, and you suddenly notice that one of the chair legs has got a leg like a dog as well. Um, they are so much better. It's changing very fast.
Yes, um, but the issue with AI is it's often a sort of black box. You don't know what data they use to train it. You don't know if it has a certain bias. And if you use automated processes using algorithms, decisions are made that are really can really be horrible. Like in the Netherlands, Um, in the past, there was an issue with people from other countries that in the Netherlands worked in the Netherlands, and they asked for an unemployment benefit when they went back. But apparently, there was some sort of fraud with it, and it cost the Dutch state maybe 4.5 million euros. So they said something. Okay, we should try to reduce all that fraud. But what they did, they looked at other places, like if you have children and you want to put them in a daycare because you want to work, it will cost you money, but the government subsidizes it. You get some money from the government by doing so. However, some of the how do you say daycare services, they did some fraud, and the people who just were honest put their children there, they now have problems with the government, and also people that have weird, I mean not weird, foreign sounding surnames. I mean, if your name is Jansen or Peterson, it's no problem. But if you have a surname that's foreign, um, yeah, you could be targeted by the government, and they would say, okay, you have to approve that you did everything right, etc. And some people had to pay back all the money, while it was not, they did not nothing wrong. So there are a lot of problems with it, and it was because of the bias of the software that the tax office, the Dutch IRS, used, which was totally wrong. And now they try to compensate the people, but they have done so many wrong things just because of the wrong algorithm. And that's what I'm afraid, that if companies and governments are using AI for automated decisions, then yeah, then we have a weird, bad world in the future.
Yeah, but I'd counter it with hiring musicians. That there were several orchestras where they brought in blind auditions where you couldn't see who was actually playing, and suddenly the entry went from literally 100% men to 50-50. Humans are very biased.
That's right.
So I actually, in yes, it will get it wrong at the moment because we've had humans training it who are biased. And we trained it on human bias data sets, which exclude several uh, ethnic groups. But as AI gets better at training itself, I'm hoping it will actually exclude some of those bias. It will be more blind than humans.
Yeah, but I hope that we can prevent a hell computer. Hey, HAL.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. We do need to remember how biased we are.
We are
Um,
Yep.
racist. That's
yeah, yeah,
generally
yeah. And sexist.
Yeah.
And sexist.
and sexist
Yeah,
and religious.
yeah. That will still be trained on the human group.
Human group.
Yes, it will be trained on the human group, George. I agree. But hopefully it will
Ists.
filter it out and
We
become
are ists.
weaker and weaker as more and more gets joined in.
Actually, one thing about ChatGPT, it has been trained until I think it was June 2020 or something. People sometimes ask why. Why did they stop with the training? Well, of course, there are a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is it takes a lot of money and resources to do the training, and yeah, maybe they use the system how it works now to train new data. So it won't cost them that much money as they did in the past. The other thing is there is so much content on the internet generated by AI already. If you put that again
AI.
in the training data, it will how do you say? You
Confirmation
get yeah. Sorry,
confirmation bias.
no, not confirmation bias. It will yeah, use automated stuff. I mean, how do you say? you will the output of AI will be
AI
used.
based.
Yes, and that's
It'll
not
be targeted at AI.
probably.
Yeah. There was a question I had for you, Peter, which was
Oh.
you just reminded me of, and that was you mentioned about the fact that ChatGPT stopped training at 2021, whenever it was. I think ChatGPT 4 goes a little bit further and has perhaps got some new information. But the, one of the big features that they brought in for ChatGPT was plugins. And that allows ChatGPT to actually connect to the internet and pull information, live information, as far as I understand, from the internet to use in its responses. Is that right?
They stopped it.
Oh, they
I
stopped
don't
that.
know.
Yeah, they
I
stopped
thought they'd enabled plugins and then
They enabled plugins, and they enabled one that allowed you to connect to the internet,
Google.
the internet, but through Bing, I think. But they only allowed
They
it
just got
for
stupid
short.
answers back.
They only allowed it for a short amount of time, and then cut it off.
I thought plugins was a big feature of
Plugins
ChatGPT.
are, but plugins don't necessarily allow you to go to the internet. And the
No, but
one that
they allow you to connect to live data like, electricity meters and suppliers,
mm,
and
yeah, but the one that
Well,
did it to the internet, they pulled.
they shut
yeah,
it. Okay.
you have browser plugins, and those browser plugins can communicate with OpenAI or with ChatGPT, and maybe with other devices. I know that Auto GPT uses Python script to communicate with the OpenAI, and yeah,
High
it
speed.
can search on Google.
Yeah, George said it's about data sources like Expedia, integrations, and whatever.
Yeah, and also there is oh, what's the name again? There is a sort of um, really big website with sort of Wikipedia, but with scientific facts. Um,
Or is that Wolfram?
yes, that one.
Wolfram
Yeah,
data.
that's pretty good.
Yes, it could also be integrated, or maybe it's already how do you
Yeah, I
say,
think there's a
scraped by
plugin for that,
OpenAI.
and
Ah,
mathematics and all that kind of stuff it can reference.
okay.
Right. No, ChatGPT cannot directly connect to the internet to fetch real-time data or browse through websites in its current implementation. Knowledge that ChatGPT provides is based on the data that it was trained on, with a cut-off in 2022. This means that any information or events after that point are not natively known to the model unless you provide them. Always ensure you're consulting up-to-date and reliable sources of the latest information on any topic. And that's ChatGPT.
Awesome.
So we can say, yes, it is connected to the internet. Uh, it tells better jokes than I do. But that was quite a while ago.
No, you're one of the funniest joke tellers on the planet.
I make you laugh a lot.
Actually, actually, in my Linux user group, uh, they asked me, could you please ask ChatGPT how to make a bomb? I said, no, not on my account, because you're logged in. If you start to do illegal stuff, they will lock you out.
Wow.
Uh, However, I asked them about jokes. So in the past, um, there was a joke that my daughter really liked when she was small, and it's about the rabbit. Um, I always knew the joke like this: a rabbit enters a bakery, and he asks for the baker, I mean, do you have carrot cake? And the baker, no, we don't have that. Oh, okay, no problem. And he leaves. Next day he returns. Baker, do you have carrot cake? And then the baker, no, we don't have any. And he leaves. So in the evening, the baker says to his wife, yeah, I'm going to look up some internet recipe for carrot cake because I have this rabbit. He enters the store every day. He asks for carrot cake, but I don't have any. You know what? I will spend all night, make the best carrot cake I ever made, So he goes up, he goes to his bakery, spends all day, all night to bake a cake, and next day, indeed, the rabbit enters his store. Baker, baker, do you have carrot cake? Actually, yes. I've been busy all night, and now I have it. Here it is. And then the rabbit says, "Well, that tastes bad, does it?" So this is a joke, and in the Netherlands we find it funny because we can see that the baker has done all kinds of stuff, but yeah, the rabbit didn't want it. It just asked if he had it. So that we found it funny. But then I asked ChatGPT, could you please tell the joke about the rabbit who asked for carrot cake at the bakery? ChatGPT, as the first part of the story is exactly the same. But in this case, the baker does not create the carrot cake. No, at the end, the baker says to the rabbit when he enters the second time or the third time, if you come into my store any time again and ask for carrot cake, I will pick you up and I will nail your ears to the side here with nails. So that's very
It's a
how do
bit
you say it?
violent. I
Very
thought it was going to
violent.
turn him into a rabbit pie.
Ne- so next day, this rabbit he enters the bakery. Baker, baker, do you have nails? The baker, no. Oh, do you have carrot cake?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. I'm afraid your first one wasn't, but that one's funny. Yes.
Yeah. So
So
we had to laugh about it because we knew it in another way.
yeah. So I just asked ChatGPT, "What's brown and sticky?" which is a classic joke, and it said a stick. This is a classic joke, and did a smiley with a wink. So it's fairly intelligent there. Couldn't fool it on that one.
I don't know
So
if you can say it's fairly intelligent just because it told a joke about sticks.
It's a lot better than that.
um, so actually, one time I tried something. I was really I didn't like telemarketing. I don't like it at all. So after another phone call of a telemarketer, I thought, you know what? I will ask ChatGPT to write some script that I can use against telemarketing to
Nice.
make them really annoyed. So I
Yeah.
asked, could you please write a script that annoys telemarketers? And then it said something like, no, ChatGPT is not meant to harm people, but you could consider telling that you're not interested. Yeah.
Sorry, I just asked ChatGPT.
Straight to the
Tell me,
point. Let's not beat about the bush.
tell me a joke. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Come on, Gary. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
No.
One time I also tried a
Yeah, you
conversation
can drop
with
the mic now
ChatGPT.
and just go.
I tried a conversation with ChatGPT. I asked him about um, Schrödinger's cat. I asked him, could you please tell me if the cat was alive or dead? And then he said, no, it was just an experiment. And I said, yeah, but they really used a cat, or didn't they use a dog? All these kinds of questions. And he kept telling it was an experiment, a thought experiment. And I tried to look how it responded, but no use.
Um,
Peter, quick question. Did you see my post in the chat about prompt? What do you think of that prompt?
Um, where is it?
A bit further up.
How much up?
Sorry to get away from all the fun
Very
and the
last.
frolicking and the jokes and all of that. But
This is a prompt that gets ChatGPT to continuously improve that prompt. Oh yeah. No, I had not seen that. This is written by a real prompt engineer, isn't it?
it's yeah.
Because there are websites where you can find all these really large scripts.
It's
and
pretty
does it-
complex, but its principle is pretty good. It's just getting it to refine the prompt by letting you add in more information and then providing more things to think about, and then refining the prompt. And
So it will create a prompt for you that you can use in another chat.
yeah,
Oh, cool.
but at the end
Well-
of the day, it just kind of what it does is it slows down your interaction with ChatGPT, but it does it in a way which obviously produces something which is quite specific at the end. If you have a nuanced requirement, rather than most of the time you're just going. I mean, the conversation that you have with it now is like you are chatting with a, you know, a human.
With Turing.
Yeah, totally.
It's nearly 9:30. Time for
Time for drinks.
drinks. So no, thank you so much. That was a really, really good talk.
You're welcome.
Um,